means someone who does not know, or believes that it is impossible to know, if a God exists. For example, although he was raised a Catholic, he was an agnostic for most of his adult life. Agnostic. Agnostic means consumption. Consumption means the amount used or eaten. For example, as a nation, our consumption of junk food is horrifying. Consumption. Excoriate. Excoriate means to write or say that a play, book, political action, etc. is very bad. For example, his latest novel received excoriating reviews. Sediment. Sediment means a soft substance that is like a wet powder, and consists of very small pieces of a solid material that have fallen to the bottom of a liquid. For example, there was a brown sediment in the bottom of the bottle. Sediment. Sediment means a soft substance. Inane. Inane means extremely silly, or with no real meaning or importance. For example, he's always making inane remarks. Enmity. Enmity means a feeling of hate. For example, she denied any personal enmity towards him. Compliment. Compliment means a remark that expresses approval, admiration, or respect. For example, he complained that his husband never paid him any compliments anymore. Compliment. Batten down the hatches. Batten down the hatches means to prepare for difficult times. For example, when you're coming down with a cold, all you can do is batten down the hatches and wait for the body to fight it off. Batten down. Permeate. Permeate means to spread through something and be present in every part of it. For example, dissatisfaction with the government seems to have permeated every section of society. Impudence. Impudence means the quality of being rude and not showing respect, especially towards someone who is older or in a more important position. For example, with a hint of impudence, she told him not to talk. Gazette. Gazette means a newspaper. For example, the Montreal Gazette. Gazette. Bite the hand that feeds you. Bite the hand that feeds you means to act badly towards the person who is helping or has helped you. For example, leaving the company after they have spent 3 years training you is a bit like biting the hand that feeds you. Paradox. Paradox means a situation or statement that seems impossible or is difficult to understand because it contains two opposite facts or characteristics. For example, plus that, it's a curious paradox that drinking a lot of water can often make you feel thirsty. Probe. Probe means to try to discover information that other people do not want you to know by asking questions carefully and not directly. For example, the interviewer probed deep into her private life. Excoriate. Excoriate means to write or say that a play, book, political action, etc. is very bad. For example, his latest novel received excoriating reviews. Excoriate. Enmity. Enmity means a feeling of hate. For example, she denied any personal enmity towards him. Yank. Yank means to pull something forcefully with a quick movement. For example, he tripped over the cord and yanked the plug out. Indolence. Indolence means the state of showing no real interest or effort. For example, after a sudden burst of activity, the team lapsed back into indolence. Indolent. Concomitant. Concomitant means something that happens with something else and is connected with it. For example, loss of memory is a natural concomitant of old age. Repudiate. Repudiate means to refuse to accept something or someone as true. For example, He repudiated the allegation that he had tried to deceive them. Jump the gun. Jump the gun means start something too soon or early, especially without thinking. For example, the media jumped the gun and gave out their verdict of the scandal even before the investigation was complete. Extort. Extort means to get something by force or threats, or with difficulty. For example, he had been extorting money from the old lady for years. Surfeit. Surfeit means an amount that is too large. For example, the country has a surfeit gold. Surfeit. Haste makes waste. Haste makes waste means rushing through things will give a poor result. For example, be careful while checking the papers. Haste makes waste, so check them thoroughly before submitting them. Off on the wrong foot. Off on the wrong foot means to begin something badly. For example, he started off on the wrong foot in his new job when he had a bit of an argument with his manager. Recession. Recession means a period when the economy of a country is not successful and conditions for business are bad. For example, the country is sliding into the depths of a recession. On the same page. On the same page means to be thinking in a similar way. For example, let us discuss this internally first so that we are on the same page before we speak to the customer. Castigate. Castigate means to criticize someone or something severely. For example, health inspectors castigated the kitchen staff for poor standards of cleanliness. Make a virtue of necessity. Make a virtue of necessity means to utilize a difficult situation in the best possible way. For example, it was a long journey from Delhi to Australia, so he made a virtue of necessity and wrote down some articles. Make a virtue of necessity. Figment. Figment means something that seems real but is not real. For example, was it just a figment of my imagination, or did I hear John's voice in the other room?